page. We're going to continue our Down to the Details series. We did the entire defense, every single position group on our YouTube channel, Dolphins Detail. Please go check those out. Give us your thoughts. Any comments you can leave on those really helps other people find it and share their opinions too. So we'd greatly appreciate any comments, any subs, anything like that. We'd love to have you guys joining us. So, Marek, running back, we are going to answer 4 questions. Where do things stand with this group? What makes them good? What needs to happen this offseason? And what does success look like on the field? So to start, where do things stand with this group? Because it's looking kind of like a full house.
Hey, this is a full house. You got a full group. They returned the entire unit from last year with Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Devon Achane, and Myles Gaskin. All of those guys are back, but they have another addition as well. Rookie 3rd-round pick out of Texas A&M, Devon Achane, another speedster, another guy that's going to add to the quote-unquote track team, as everybody's been saying as of late. We'll see where he fits into the mix, especially during his rookie season. But if Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson remain the top 2, option A and option B, I think the Dolphins are in a good spot there. Both of those guys had career years with the Dolphins last year. And with Mike McDaniel, I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but with him vocally committing to running the ball more, I think you could see both of them top their top seasons that they had last year. Both of them could top that coming into next year, depending on how much run Achane does get.
I think both Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert ranked in the top 15 in terms of yards per carry last year. And at 31 years old, Mayor, can you guess how many people on this Dolphins roster are older than 29?
4.
You would have been right, but they signed Tyler Kroft. And Chosen Anderson just turned 30. So that turns 4 into 6. Justin Bethel, Raheem Mostert, Teron Armstead, and Kendall Lamb are the others. But man, that's that youth movement. And you look at this group specifically, Mostert, we just said, is 31. Wilson, 26. Achane, 21. Devon Achane, I think, is a sneaky 24. Myles Gaskin, 26. And we have to mention Alec Ingold, because while he isn't going to get all those carries, it's a roster spot. And it's going to be a very interesting development to see how these guys turn out, what the Miami Dolphins try to do with all of them. Do you think it's safe to say Alec Ingold? I think they brought in, they have another fullback that I think they signed to a futures deal. His name sounds like he should be an actor.
John Lovett?
John Lovett. Yep. That is it. Do you think Alec Ingold is that lock as the fullback again? I know he was really limited last year with that club near the end of the season, but he was still out there grinding, trying to do what he can to help.
Yeah, no, big fan of Alec Ingold. I thought he had a great year last year. He showed heart, he showed toughness, like you said, going out there with the club on the wrist, on the hand there. And Skylar Thompson's still trying to throw him passes, and he just looks at him like, bro, like, are you dumb? What are you doing? But anyways, no, I think he's a lock to be starter at fullback. Again, knock on wood, barring any unforeseen injury circumstance, which I hope we don't see. But Alec Ingold, great player, happy to have him. And this Shanahan system and now McDaniel system, they love their fullbacks.
And when we talk about what gives this group an edge, you just kind of hit the nail on the head. 3 of the 5 guys have thrived in this outside zone system. I think people forget Devon Achane. His first team was actually the San Francisco 49ers. That was his first shot in the NFL before he made his way to Miami. Raheem Mostert, obviously from San Fran. Same with Jeff Wilson after they traded midseason. And I don't think we can devalue that at all, because look at what happened to Chase Edmonds. They went from he ran an inside zone scheme for years in Arizona to go to the outside zone scheme, and he instantly just disappeared. He could not figure out how to get things moving.
Yeah, and now he's disappeared off the face of the earth, really. I know he's in Denver. He got injured shortly after going to Denver, I believe. I don't know what's going on with Chase Edmonds, but he gone. We don't got to worry about him anymore. But you got Mostert, you got Wilson, you got the exciting addition of Achane, and you have here in the notes here, he had 2,400 yards while playing in the SEC. So it's not like he was playing a cupcake schedule, going against nobodies here. He was playing in the big boy division in college football, and he had 2,400 yards despite being a pretty small running back, compared to others in his position group across college football and now across the NFL. So he's a small guy, but he doesn't necessarily run like a small guy. Just really, the more I dissect and digest this Achane pick, the more I get excited for it. Another weapon for this offense, and another guy with just home run hitting speed. A guy that can take it to the house at any point, and I'm hoping we get to see a few opportunities for him to do that this upcoming season.
I gotta ask because I think a lot of people like Achane just for the idea of that adding the speed to the offense. But people are still going out and calling him a change of pace back. What on earth does it mean to be a change of pace back when everybody's just fast? There's a bunch of lightning there. I don't see much thunder on this team.
There's fast, and then there's slightly faster, and there's slightly faster than that. So that's what the Dolphins want to do. They want to run past you. They want everybody throwing up the cheetah deuces as they're sprinting past. I think honestly, at this point, change of pace just means getting a fresh set of legs in there, giving guys breathers, and having somebody who can do everything that everybody else can do as well. And I like Achane because while being a really fast guy, if you watch some of his tape at Texas A&M, he wasn't just strictly a guy who was trying to beat you to the outside, turn it upfield, and get the home run carry there. He ran between the tackles quite a bit, and he did it relatively well. And he was able to bounce off tacklers, break tackles, and keep runs going there. So I'm really excited for this guy. I'm really excited to see what he does. But that doesn't kind of squash my excitement for Mostert and Wilson as well. I was really excited when they traded for Wilson at the trade deadline last season. Then he came in and made an immediate impact, especially in that Chicago Bears game. He catches the pass, dives for the end zone, gets in there for the touchdown. That was a really cool highlight play. And then Mostert really turned it on at the end of the year before getting hurt and being forced to miss that game in the playoffs against Buffalo. But if you remember the earlier game in Buffalo, the primetime game in the snow there, he was lighting it up, and he had multiple highlight reel carries, breaking tackles, dragging defenders downfield, and it looked like he was just on another level for that game. So if McDaniel recommits to the run like he did when he was in San Francisco as the run game coordinator, and he said multiple times, and Raheem Mostert had an interview where he talked about our presser, where he talked about how McDaniel apologized for not running the ball more. Your head coach isn't going to come to you, apologize for not running the ball more, and then not run the ball in the upcoming season. So I think you are going to see more carries by these Dolphins running backs. And as long as this offensive line situation gets situated, then I think you're going to see a productive rushing attack for the Dolphins in 2023.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert set career highs in both carries and yards. It was the second time in his career he played 16 games. Jeff Wilson sprinkled on another 176 carries for 860 yards. That's combined between Miami and San Fran. But I like you mentioning what Mike McDaniel said, and I don't think I really enjoyed what this team did late in the season because it was no secret that defenses were starting to clog the middle of the field. And I think that was the perfect chess move that the Dolphins were able to pull out. I think Buffalo was a team. All right, we're not going to let Jalen Waddle get 4th and 17 over our heads again. But all of a sudden, you got Raheem Mostert running to the outside, and these holes are opening up. So to me, that's how this offense is really going to hum throughout the year. It's if we can attack the middle of the field, we're going to score 40 points, but we can also grind out all the clock and just take these stretch runs, get 7-8 yards, and who knows, we'll pop one for 65 with the speed like Mostert or even Achane.
Yeah, a recommitment to the run game. I don't even know if it's a recommitment at this point. It might just be a commitment because when was the last time the Dolphins ran the ball well? I remember just a few short
When
years
Ryan
ago.
Fitzpatrick was the
Yeah,
leader.
Ryan Fitzpatrick was the leading rusher for the Dolphins. If we can get back to the days of Ricky and Ronnie, or go back even before my time with Zonka and Mercury Morris and Jim Kick there, we can get back to that, but also have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the outside and Tua Tagovailoa feeding those guys early and often, but you have the run game to commit. And now you got Vic Fangio in this defense. Oh man, I'm getting a little worked up here. I might have to take a ice cold shower after we log off.
You're asking for too much power, man. A top tier passing game and a top tier running game, man. I don't know what I'd look. I'd be going bananas for something like that. Off-season priorities. Now, there's two directions we can go with this, and we're going to start with the one of, is this unit complete as is? There still continues to be a little bit of rumbling about a certain running back from Miami who might hit the market and might be available for a solid price. Any chance that Delvin Cook is added to this group?
After the drafting of Achane, I personally would have been like, oh, okay, you know what? That's it. There's no more Dalvin Cook. It's not going to happen. but that didn't stop these rumors from swirling. They're
Yep.
still out there. There's still plenty of people who are in the know, well connected, with the Dolphins front office, who are saying Dalvin Cook to Miami is not dead, and it's still a possibility. Like you said, Dalvin Cook from the Miami area wants to come back home, and you have to wonder if the Vikings are going to give him that opportunity. It looks like a trade for Dalvin Cook is probably off the table unless they're willing to accept some pretty, you know, minuscule compensation. Because it doesn't look like the Dolphins want to spend any more high draft picks on running backs like that. And he actually has a pretty hefty contract. He still has like 3 years left on his deal. I think only one of the years is guaranteed. Don't quote me on that, but he wouldn't be a cheap addition. So if Cook is to come to Miami, I think it's going to come in the form of him being released from the Vikings and then the Dolphins basically being like, listen, dude, we feel pretty good with Mostert, pretty good with Wilson. We really like this guy, Achane, we just got back. And if anything happens to those guys, we still got Savon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin, two players who are really familiar with Miami and have familiarity with this system. So if you want to come home, Dalvin Cook, we can make it happen, but you're going to have to do it for pennies on the dollar. How badly do you want to be in Miami? And then if that happens and Dalvin Cook is willing to take, a below market deal, then you got to figure out how to make it work. Do you
Yep.
still have room for Mostert and Wilson? You're obviously not doing anything with Achane. You just drafted him. Could you see somebody trade for Mostert? Could you see somebody trade for Wilson? Or do you just let go of Gaskin and Ahmed and keep Cook, Mostert, Wilson, and Achane? Because that gets my blood boiling again there too. I get the goosebumps. I get excited for all four of those guys. But I don't know. If you're asking me like what percentage chance do I think that it's going to happen, there's still that logical part of my brain that goes, we're not doing this. We're good. We're good.
0% chance I'm going to
Are
that
you, are you at 0?
1000% zero. The amount of work you just described about just picking a running back, let alone in a team that doesn't like to run the football, get that out of here. Let Mike McDaniel go worry about other things. I think that's just a situation where it might cause more problems than good. You have all this talent. You got to get them all on the field somehow. You all of a sudden every week, did we play the right guy? Is this guy have a hot hand? Is this guy a better matchup? I think they are headed in a right direction. I think they like the group they have now. And I think Achane was that final nail in the coffin where I don't think there's any chance that Dalvin Cook is on the radar whatsoever, no matter how cheap it is. I just think that's a step too far in terms of turning trades and salary cap off in Madden and just kind of having whatever you want.
It sounds like a fantasy football nightmare. Who do I start this week? Dalvin Cook, Raheem Mostert. Who do I got?
Speaking of fantasy nightmares, what are the offseason priorities? Because I don't think this team's going to sign anyone else. They got to figure it out. Dude, I don't know if you saw this, but there are so many of these fantasy football sites not only copping out, but actually confusing me quite a bit. ESPN's Mike Clay. Jeff Wilson is running back 34. Raheem Mostert is 5 behind him at 39. And then you have Achane at 51. That one makes sense. But the Wilson and Mostert thing kind of blew my mind. But wait, there's more.
What do you think that is, though? Go ahead, finish it up.
Fantasy pros. Wilson 41, Mostert 47. PFF best ball rankings. This one gets me. Jeff Wilson 45, Raheem Mostert 46, Devon Achane 47. So
okay, that's just them. Yeah, that's just them going, oh, we don't know what the hell to do.
But seriously, why on earth are we putting Wilson in any situation ahead of Mostert? Just kind of seeing how that season ended. I mean, obviously, I think first you go to the injury issues, but it was a thumb. It's not like his leg fell off or anything. I think it was clear that he was the guy where Wilson was that nice change of pace, maybe a palate cleanser in a sense. But man, what on earth are they thinking?
I think the only things that you can look at are, Mostert's injury issues and then maybe the age thing with Mostert being 31 and Wilson being 26. Maybe Mostert, historically running backs drop off a cliff after that age 30 season. Mostert got a little bit of a late start. He was an undrafted free agent, bounced around from practice squad to practice squad before really catching on in San Francisco. So he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires. So you do wonder if he'll be all right there, but you also wonder if maybe that's why these fantasy analysts have Wilson ranked higher than Mostert in this offense. I don't personally get it myself. I do think McDaniel loves Raheem Mostert. And you didn't see Jeff Wilson on that presser, did you? It wasn't Jeff Wilson talking about how much McDaniel has apologized and saying he wants to run the ball. It was Raheem Mostert. So I think until he's not, Raheem Mostert is the Dolphins' RB1. And until Jeff Wilson surpasses him, then he's the RB2. And until Devon Achane takes over for that role, I think he's the RB3. And then Ahmed and Gaskin, if they're even on the roster by the time the season starts, they'll file in behind those three guys there.
Very weird. I mean, I don't know anybody in their right minds. If you're sitting there and both of them are on the board, you need to run. I don't know who in the right mind would ever take someone like Jeff Wilson over Raheem Mostert in that situation. Hey, I had Jeff Wilson on a team and he won me some games late last year, but that just still seems a little bananas. But Marek, to wrap things up here, what does this unit look like on the field? Because I have some very ugly stats for you. Miami ranked 27th this year with 96 rushing yards per game. In 2021, they ranked 29th with 92 rushing yards per game. They were solid in 2020, a whopping 105 rushing yards, which was good for 21st. And then the magical 2019 season when Ryan Fitzpatrick led the team in rushing, where they were dead last with 72.3 rushing yards per game. How do you come out of the basement and how do you, I don't know, jump from 27? What you want your expectation to be top 15 at the least? How do they do that?
You know, I think it's all going to come down to what Mike McDaniel wants to do. He said, we've mentioned it multiple times now, but he says he wants to commit to the running game more so than he did last year. And so it's completely up to Mike McDaniel. If he calls more running plays, if he sticks with the run when the run is going well, like at times the Dolphins were running the ball well, and then inexplicably McDaniel just stopped calling run plays and just started throwing the ball all over the yard. Again, that late season game in Buffalo in prime time in the snow comes to mind. The Dolphins had a lead. The Dolphins were up, and then they were running the ball well with Raheem Mostert, and it just felt like Mike McDaniel, I don't know if he got scared or if he got cute or what the deal was, but he just stopped running the ball. So it's really going to come down to Mike McDaniel committing to the run and letting these guys cook. Dalvin Cook, I don't know. And what I would like to see more of, not just a commitment to the run. I'd like to see some more screenplays. I'd like to see some more checkdowns. I'd like to see some more dump offs. Tua threw the ball downfield more than any other quarterback last year. Past 10 yards, just chucking it. And he was successful doing it. So, I mean, we can't get too mad at that. But when the play's not there and you have a running back coming open in the flat, somebody's got to tell Tua, it's okay to just check it down. Let your track team, your Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane. Jeff Wilson's not a slow dude either. Like, he's the slowest of the three, but he's not slow. Let your track team make people miss. Let your track team break a tackle and turn it upfield, get you a first down, and who knows, maybe even get you a touchdown. I'd love to see some more of that, a commitment to the running game and, a commitment to some check down passes and some dump offs when it's called for.
What's up, Paul? Thanks for jumping in the comments here. It's good to see you. I hope we're not spouting too much crazy stuff for you here. But to your point about the screen game, it goes back to the chess match, right? The defenses are going to clog the middle of this field just because of how well Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle finds that open space. Those screen passes have such a great opportunity to turn into huge plays because of that track team. And this was a team that ranked 7th last year. They passed the ball about 62% of the time. They were 10th in 2020 at 59.7% of the time, but these are definitely two different type of offenses. 2020, it was get the ball out. We're too scared. You're going to take hits and sacks, so we got to just do 3-yard passes. 2022, man, it kind of felt like Mike McDaniel wanted to do party tricks all year long. It just seemed like, I don't know, you reached Little League and you just had your growth spurt and you were just launching every ball possible. And then you get that one pitcher who's like, I had a growth spurt too. And he's throwing like 70 in Little League. And all of a sudden you're like, oh no, my superpower isn't always there. So that to me is going to be the interesting thing when he knows to throw that changeup or stick to those runs to the outside. Because if you look at this team, one of their most positive plays was that Raheem Mostert run behind Teron Armstead. It seemed like that was kind of a bread and butter for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's it's a double-edged sword, right? The Dolphins were so good at throwing the ball downfield that it's really hard to be like, hey, stop doing that thing that you do really, really well. But you also, like you said, you want to throw the changeup in there. You want to keep defenses guessing. Keep them on their toes. When they think they know what's coming, you want to hit them with something else. You can't just try and force feed your offense. And when the Dolphins did that, that's when they got in trouble. Games against San Francisco, games against the LA Chargers, they tried to force feed their offense. They tried to say, hey, we're going to line up and we're going to be better than you. And unfortunately, in those two games, they weren't. And those two games were losses. And they were part of a long losing streak towards the end of the year that almost cost a team that started 7-2, 9, something like that, right? A team that started atop the AFC standings. It almost caused them to miss the playoffs altogether. So hopefully McDaniel has learned a lot from his rookie season as a head coach, and hopefully he's not going to be so stubborn in these situations, and he'll be willing and ready and able to throw that changeup, like you were saying, Jake.
And that is the key, according to us. But everyone out there watching, listening, shout out Josh Houts for hitting that retweet button, brought in some viewers for Twitter. I hope you guys are all working your way home after a long day of work. Hopefully we were able to make your trips a little shorter. And two, if you're liking what you're listening to, be sure to check out Dolphins Detail on YouTube, where we're going through this down to the details series about every single position group. I highly recommend it. We've been putting in a lot of work. I think it's been a lot of fun. But Marek, our first show on Twitter, you didn't cry. You must be feeling pretty good.
Oh, I feel great. I feel great, baby. I got my Sonic drink. Sponsor us, Sonic. Go ahead. Give us some of that change. We'll put you over here. It's Diet Coke for everybody that's worried about my figure. So settle down out there, Twitterverse.
They're always looking out for you. But for Dolphins Detail, Marek, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone out there watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, fins up.
Fins up.